I've talked before about how one of the best ways you can assess whether the person you're engaging with wants to talk with you is by asking questions and giving them outs. When people have the option to do other things, it means that their choices are more sincere. If a person has no choice at all but to do the thing you kind of want them to do anyway, you won't actually know whether or not they want to do that thing, right? So a lighthearted example then with the imagined choice. Let's say you're having a conversation with somebody at a social event, like a party, even the workplace, it doesn't really matter. And you're kind of really getting into it. You're really talking about your interest, which just for the sake of deviating from the topics we normally go to is football. You're really into football. I know for this chat that's a long shot, but just stick with me, okay? You're into sports ball. Yeah, I know. No, follow through, follow through. I know. You're all gay. You don't like those kinds of balls. I know. But in this example, you are that, okay? You're really talking it up. You're talking about throwing balls. You're talking about guys with broad shoulders. You're talking about, oh, you're having a great time. And you're talking to a cute waifish chick, okay? Let's pixie hair, bob cut, got some nice bangs, real cute, your type, all right? Now here's the issue, okay? You are spaghettiing a little bit, you know? Like you're talking about your interest and you're not even being that uninteresting about it, but you're also kind of desperate to sort of propel yourself into the next interesting point. So you've been talking for a solid 55 seconds now. That is a long time to talk uninterrupted. Now, you don't know what's going on in the mind of that young woman, but you can make some inferences. The best way to know whether or not she's okay with continuing your conversation is to make her feel like there isn't a consequence to her backing out of it. See, what often happens is that because people are kind of awkward, like just in general, like all of us, you know, the woman might be thinking, wow, he's really into this convo. How do I break out of this without hurting his feelings? I don't want to hurt his feelings, you know? He seems nice. I'm not enjoying this conversation at all, but I don't want to hurt his feelings. So she'll just continue to stand there glassy-eyed and smile at you. And in your head, you're thinking, I have no idea if she's enjoying this. I can't actually tell. And you, the naive fool you are, you pause for a second, take a deep breath, and then you go, yeah? And she, not wanting to hurt your feelings, says, yeah, yeah. And then you continue talking, unaware of the fact that she is panicked, trying to not hurt your feelings, but she wants to get out of there, but you're thinking, oh, she said yeah. So yeah. The problem here is that she thinks she can't break out of this without hurting your feelings, and you need to work on your conversational skills because you're not giving her an out. And I've said this before. There are so many ways that you can make sure the other person is interested in the convo, and the best way to do so is to make her feel like you could give or take continuing the conversation. Like you're enjoying it, but hey, if you need to go, if you're busy, you need to do something, that's okay. I've got stuff to do as well. Something that I tend to do, like all the time, you've seen me do it on stream a million times, is if I've been talking for any length of time, I will sometimes say, oh, but I'm rambling. You've seen me do that? I do that just while talking to people on stream. This isn't even like a flirt or friend thing. This is just, I just do that, you know, it's a conversational habit that I've developed. And the reason for that is because depending on the way the person I'm talking to reacts to that, I get a lot of info on how they feel. And you've probably noticed that from my stream conversations as well. So, for instance, if I say, oh, but I've been rambling, and the person I'm talking to goes, oh, no, you haven't, then they're probably fine with continuing the conversation. I mean, they seem pretty enthusiastic about denouncing my assessment that I've been rambling. But if they respond with, oh, it's okay, a little more reserved, a bit more withdrawn, then I think, okay, maybe they're more interested in backing out. And then I can respond to that with, oh, well, hey, it's been a wonderful, talk with you, or, okay, I got to go do something. I hope you have a wonderful day, or blah, 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 blah. If a person is interested in talking with you, they tend to want to do it in the future too. I think it's okay to lean on the side of caution when it comes to not potentially overwhelming new people with information. Sometimes people are very direct when they don't want to talk with you. Sometimes people are a little bit more reserved, and you need to put a bit of effort in to understanding how they really feel. You understand how this is important to consent, right? See, it's not just about the explicit yeses or the explicit nos. It's about being respectful enough of the person that you're engaging with to be able to bounce signals off of them, you know? Like a bat screeching into a cavern. You get the information as the sound reflects off the walls, right? You want to engage with them in a way where you get a read on them, but you don't want things to feel awkward by directly asking them, "Hey, are you enjoying the conversation?" Now, don't get me wrong. It's not actually that bad to say that sometimes. I don't actually think it's always bad in a conversation to get like a very direct, "Hey, are you interested in this?" Like if you're talking about a subject you're interested in, and you can look at them and you can say, "Oh, do you like any of this stuff? Is this for you?" Or, and then you tend to get a pretty straightforward answer. The key is just to always make them feel like they can always walk away, right? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? It's the ability to give others comfort. Because when they're comfortable, when they feel like they have options, the option they choose is the one they really want. They're not being pushed into anything. Whether they continue to talk to you, whether they decide that they don't want to anymore, whether they decide to switch the subject of conversation or whatever else, if they have options and they feel comfortable exercising them, the one they choose is an authentic representation of how they feel. So let's talk about sex, okay? So I hope we can skip the very, 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 very basics of sex and consent by saying stuff like, if they tell you no, then you shouldn't have sex with them. I hope we can, let's build on this, okay? Let's work on this, all right? So sex, when it comes to consent, works the exact same as what I just described with conversations, except the stakes are a lot higher with regards to their potential investment. So this is a personal preference of mine. Not everyone feels this way, which is psychotic to me, but it's how I feel. For me, the biggest enjoyment with sex and anything involving other people in intimacy is the knowledge that they, another conscious human being, are interested in doing it with me. Sex feels great, don't get me wrong. Blowjobs feel great. Oral, whatever, anal, whatever crazy, lots of crazy stuff, feels great. However, the really cool part, in my mind, is the fact that there's like an interplay between willing participants. For me, this is like a non-negotiable thing. I can't imagine enjoying sex if the person that I'm having sex with was not themselves enjoying it. At that point, I don't even know, like hypothetically, I don't even know what I would be, like that's, like, I don't even know what's there, really. Obviously, this is a pretty non-negotiable point. Even if you're into, like, say, rape roleplay, which is referred to as consensual non-consent, a terrible term, but nonetheless important to get down, you still have to secure the consensual part before you can get into any of the roleplay or, engagement or whatever that involves the alleged lack of consent. So, with the consent part, yeah, we start with the basics, okay? I feel like people often struggle with the degree to which consent needs to be explicitly expressed, And because it is known that consent is not always explicitly vocally expressed, sometimes people will read consent where it's not there. Generally speaking, the less you know someone and the less you know sex, I guess, the more cautious you should be with like everything here, Like I know for a fact that when I was back in high school, you make jokes about consent checklists, okay? Absolutely. When I was 15 years old, are you okay with this? Are you okay with that? You might feel nerdy. That's okay. The head will still feel good anyway. It may feel a bit dorky, but it's all right. It's okay to be a little careful. You don't really know what you're doing. You're going to have a great time anyway. Really not going to take away from it. You want to be more explicit the more perceived ambiguity there is. Like, this is obvious. We know this, right? For example, if there's a girl who you kind of like and you've been talking for a bit, you can't go up and slap her ass. You shouldn't do that. That's bad. However, if you have a girlfriend who you have been deep dicking for 4 years and you live with her and it is 10 a.m. and you're both in the kitchen and she's making breakfast, you might be able to slap her ass. Check with her, but, a lot more leeway in that situation. Obviously, the familiarity there uh, constructs a mutual expectation of casually flirtatious behavior, though only if they've indicated they're okay with that. Presumably that would have been indicated sometime very early in the relationship.